Right, it's dark. I'm cold. It's not that cold. See, 67. But yeah, I'm cold. So let's get a fire going. I like to think I've got a big old thermal battery. Well, then again, the human body does produce a lot of heat. Now, let's see if I get this right. Somebody might be able to correct me on this. Mammals are hot-blooded, and it's not just what is that? That is a cold, but hang on. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, in summary, hot-blooded. I know what that is. It's not a cold. It's a potato. It was rotten, so I chucked it in the fire. How funny that it burnt from the inside out. So what was I saying? Yes, mammals, of which I am one, are hot-blooded. Their muscles are inefficient, and as a consequence, or a benefit thereof, by exercising said muscles, one can keep warm. However, and I suppose this does make sense, because the result of a lot of these chemical reactions is heat being released, that is, as opposed to... Well, there is one or two chemical reactions where heat gets drawn in, but more about that later. So, your liver, that produces heat as well. Or a mammalian liver produces heat. However, it's now got to the point where I have insufficient heat in me. So, I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to cook hot meal, hot drink, and a fire. And I'll be nice and warm. And I hope you'll be nice and warm too, wherever you are. Now what's the... Do you know, I was going to mention ice packs, and by virtue of me talking about them now, I am. What a great way with words you have, oh Hobbit. Yes, I know. So, there's ice packs. A remarkable technology. I experienced them when I was in school, when I think it was... Did I have a sprain or something? Yeah, and I was sent to the nurse's office. I had a sprain or some sort of injury, and it was very hot. So the remedy was to put some ice packs on and hold them to the bruised area until the swelling went down. And they were room temperature to begin with, and I thought, well, how can these be ice packs? And where's your freezer? It's like, no, they're a chemical reaction. It's a slurry. One chemical mixes with another, and it's one of the few endothermic reactions I know of. Is there another endothermic reaction I can think of? Well, there's refrigeration, but it's not so much chemical as it's a physical property. Where if you have a gas and it's liquid, and the gas releases, that can just through it dint of it expanding, it takes ambient. It takes heat from the environment, the ambient heat. So what is the stuff in ice packs? You know, let's find out. I'm gonna get my phone here. I've been watching Beverly Hillbillies. I've never seen it before. I've been enjoying it a lot. And I got to an episode where they celebrate Christmas in Tennessee, so they they go out of Beverly Hills for a bit, and thinking about snow and being cold got me about. So, how do ice packs work? And what does it say? I don't need to know how to use a cold compress. Ice packs work through a chemical reaction that absorbs heat from the surrounding. I know it's endothermic. I want to know what it is. Here we go. So they typically have water and then usually ammonium nitrate, calcium ammonium nitrate, or urea. Really? So urea mixes with water and then it hasn't it? I say that's funny because the only time I think of urea is, well, these days I think of AdBlue. Oh, by the way, diesel particulate filter fluid, or AdBlue as it's known, is urea. And I'm told all of the urea comes from a pig farm in China, or pig farms in China, where the urea is refined and then sold. So there you go. Mind you, I got to admit the smell of modern diesels versus the old-fashioned ones like I've got. I prefer the smell of the modern ones. Really, the ones I prefer the most are just the old diesels, where they're running on cooking oil rather than diesel. That's the best one. Funny. So you mix urea with water and you have an endothermic reaction. What seems so strange to me with that is I can quite easily understand exothermic reactions with chemistry. You combine well, here's an example of an exothermic reaction. In this case, the wood cellulose is combining with oxygen, and it's doing that because the heat is enough to sustain the chemical reaction. And your end products will be carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and then you'll get some non-volatile. No, not what's the word for it? Some unburnable stuff. I'm sure there's a technical term for that, but I can't think of it. And the unburnables, they turn into ash. So there's an example of an exothermic reaction, but that's why I was talking about the liver. Because, circling back to that, a lot of chemical processes go on in the liver, and a consequence of those chemical processes is you get heat from the exothermic reactions. Why is that? So you've got chemicals, and then you've got a chemical, and then you've got a process that's happened. So that's it. You've got a chemical reaction, and then you get new chemicals come out of it, which tend to be simpler than the ones that you started off with a few exceptions. And once they've oxidized, although it doesn't always have to be oxidation, you get a lot of heat coming out of it. Why would you get a lot of heat? So you've got the I'm just trying to think in my head, right? So you got your molecules, and there's these molecular bonds between the atoms inside a molecule. And then they react with another. Sometimes, like in the case of wood, you need a heat source for it to go, but then it will sustain itself. Sometimes it will just happen spontaneously, like I think, I might be wrong on this, if you were to combine hydrogen and fluorine gas together, it's so volatile that it will just combust. I know certainly if you have one of the base one metals, like sodium, and you put it in water, that will just react spontaneously. And that's it. It's you've got something which is a one potential state. It combines with something else, and it's the action of combining where molecules are breaking down and then they're forming new molecular bonds. Like in the case of this wood, the cellulose is breaking down into mostly into carbon dioxide. But you can see here, for example, like if I go in closer, do you see the wood there is discolouring and it's charring, and that char is where the cellulose is turning into charcoal, and that's carbon. What you're seeing there, I mean, it's got impurities in it because I'm not making well, I am making charcoal, but then it's burning. Um, that carbon, then what's the reaction you got there? So you've got heat and you've got oxygen, and so the oxygen goes with the carbon, and you end up with mostly carbon dioxide. But if it's an incomplete burn, you'll end up with carbon monoxide. And if it's a very hot burn, like one would get in, say, a high compression diesel, sometimes the nitrogen reacts with the oxygen as well, and that will produce nitrous oxide. Look at this, for example. Here's an interesting thing. Do you see there's a gas coming out of the end of that bit of kindling there? Do you see that? I mean, it's harder to see now because it's all in flames, but it's almost as if it's not the wood itself that's burning, but it's in fact it's actually a gaseous phase which is coming off, which is very strange because I mean you look at wood and wood's solid, but yet it's a gas that's burning on top of it. Yeah, weird that. And I think seeing that foam there showed that there was still a bit of moisture in those fibres. Hey ho, there is some moisture, but I mean it's burning well, which means I'm going to have to go and get some logs because unless I kept one down here, no I didn't, I've burnt that. I'm not going to be able to get coals going from them straight away, but I can probably put a couple. I'll have to wrap this up sooner or later because what's it called? I'm going to have to wrap this up because that's it. Yeah, the chemical reaction of my phone's battery is not as good as what it used to be. So very soon it will probably be saying battery at 15%. Please change me now. Yeah. I had a dental exam recently and that was fun. No, actually it was good fun. I went there and a good old natter with the dentist about thermography, which was a new term to me, but the concept's familiar. It's just a way of saying thermal imaging. And so she, for she is a woman dentist, was tapping away at my teeth, and I said, "What's that? Was you listening for ones that are hollow?" And she says, "No, if there's a build up of fluid in the if there's a build up of fluid in the teeth caused by a bacterial infection, any tapping on that will cause great pain and sensitivity. So you'll notice it." And I said, "Oh, okay." So I got talking to her about thermal imaging and said, "You'll be able to scan people's gums, penetrate them with the infrared, and unlike X-rays, it's non-ionizing, so you'll be able to do it without leaving the room." It's not. It's not going to replace X-rays. X-rays are very good at seeing the density of things, but it's something that can see a build-up of heat where one would have bacteria. And how useful is that compared to just tapping on the teeth? I don't know. But she seemed quite keen about it because she said, "Oh, that's quite fun. We could just spend time scanning each other with the thermal imaging and just looking at hot spots in the room." And I said, "Exactly. If I had one of those tools, I'd be looking for foxes in the garden or hedgehogs." Anyway, I need to get a log on that. And yeah, so thanks for listening to me talking about chemistry.